He's been dodging questions about her for at least 2 months. There was also this incident where somebody asks about her love scenes, and he abruptly ends the interview, and you could tell that he's angry.
And then, what do you know? There are these videos that come to light that seem to show him being flirty with this Maggie woman on stage, who, again, like we said, is only 25 years old, and changing the lyrics of songs. A song, "The Fighter," that he wrote for Nicole Kidman, changing the lyrics that were about her to something that was about Mag.
The truth has broken them. While he always fretted that addiction would trash his vows, it looks like Keith Urban did the job himself with a messy affair. Just as the split rumors hit the fan, followers dug up a fiery old clip proving the divorce drama didn't just appear out of thin air. That leaked viral footage, it's the smoking gun we needed. But before we tear apart that unearthed couple's brawl, we have to rewind to the moment the problem truly took root. It all started with Keith's unbelievably bold, on-stage lyric change. One chilly Friday night, as Minnesota's early autumn air was crisp, the roaring crowd at Keith Urban's High and Alive World Tour screamed beneath the flash of electric guitars. Golden stage lights bathed him, and his usual charming smirk flashed as he launched into "The Fighter," the song that used to be his most sacred. Since 2016, this track was never for his fans or for fame. It was his public musical tribute to his one and only Nicole Kidman. The track was supposedly born from a tender, early marriage conversation when their love was still a fragile thing. Back then, in that moment of sweet vulnerability, Keith promised her he would be the unbeatable fighter, standing firm against the world for her. For nearly a decade, he belted out the same loyal line every single night. When they're trying to get to you, baby, I'll be the fighter. But on that particular Minnesota night, the entire script flipped. As the lights dipped and the stadium quieted, Keith actually looked to his left, right at the young woman shredding guitar next to him. Then he sang, his voice totally steady, but unequivocally changed. "When they're trying to get to you, Maggie, I'll be your guitar player." The crowd froze, exchanging confused glances. Then came the gasps, the snickers, the utter disbelief. In a single second, a tsunami of smartphone cameras recorded the damning evidence. A scandal was born. Now that name wasn't random, oh no. It belongs to Maggie Bohr, a 25-year-old multi-instrumentalist, an absolute country prodigy, touring with Keith as his fiddler, guitarist, and backup vocalist. Maggie is young, outrageously talented, and absolutely buzzing with energy. She'd been a performer since she was a kid, trained in Boca Raton, Florida, holding a violin at age 6 and hitting Carnegie Hall by age 11. Her classical background naturally morphed into country, trading bows for guitar strings. By 18, she'd relocated to Nashville, and somewhere on that journey, she conveniently crossed paths with Keith Urban, who conveniently saw something special. She officially joined his massive 2024 tour, first appearing next to him at the CMT Music Awards. This girl wasn't just some supporting act. She was the show's new young heartbeat, a musician capable of holding her own right next to one of country music's biggest names. And then bam, that single haunting lyric dropped. Within mere hours of the concert ending, the internet had the smoking gun footage. Maggie herself, in a totally innocent move, posted it to Instagram with the now infamous caption, "Did he just say that?" That line would soon be plastered across every single trashy entertainment site for the days to come. Maggie frantically scrubbed the post, but darling, it was already too late. The internet had the receipts, and the speculation was officially a runaway train. And the timing? Oh, it was a tragedy written in the stars. Just 72 hours later, on the cursed date of September 30th, 2025, Nicole Kidman dramatically filed for divorce in Nashville, ending her 19-year reign. The court papers shockingly confirmed the date of separation was that same day. Insiders are spilling the tea, whispering that the whole marriage was secretly dead months ago, a secret burial nobody outside the inner sanctum knew about. According to a deeply reliable source, the split was absolutely one-sided. Nicole was fighting tooth and nail to save the sinking ship, but he, Keith, had apparently already clocked out, The queen was left devastated, betrayed, and worst of all, absolutely blindsided by how fast her fairy tale exploded. But let's be real. What made that little lyric swap so utterly devastating wasn't just the betrayal. It was the sacred promise it casually replaced. The Fighter wasn't just some forgettable B-side. It was Keith's public love letter, a vow he once read to the whole planet. He'd gushed in interviews that the song sprang from a tearful moment where Nicole admitted her biggest fears about trust and her shattered heart. Keith, the hero, told her he would always be there, not to fix the world, but simply to hold her through the chaos. "I'll be the fighter" was his holy oath. Now, nearly 2 decades later, that sacred vow was literally rewritten, live on a stage, for millions to gawp at. Anyone who followed their ridiculous journey felt like they were watching a blood oath dissolve right before their eyes. Keith. Urban and Nicole Kidman were supposed to be the glorious exception, the mismatched couple who beat the odds. He, the humble, chaos-battling country boy from New Zealand via Australia, forever wrestling with his demons. She, the untouchable golden Hollywood goddess who could hold her own next to Kubrick's and Scorsese's, a true Monterey wife. Together, they were the poster children for perseverance. Even when Keith talked openly about his demons, he always credited Nicole as his rock, the angel who dragged him from the darkness. We tied the knot in June 2006, and barely 4 months later, my addictions absolutely obliterated our marriage, Keith once droned, referring to the time he went to rehab. If you want to witness real love in action, try that on for size. Nick fought through every negative voice, I'm sure even her own, and she chose love. That was Keith's dramatic description of the moment his relapse nearly torpedoed their marriage before it began. It was Nicole who shipped him off to Betty Ford. It was Nicole who stayed when walking away would have been effortless. They survived that. They survived the relentless Hollywood glare. They survived distance, insane schedules, and every lame cliche that obliterates famous marriages. Until, shockingly, they didn't. In hindsight, the terrifying clues were hiding in plain sight. In June 2025, Nicole posted one last, desperate anniversary tribute to Keith on Instagram. A week later, they forced a smile together at the FIFA Club World Cup in Nashville for the cameras, which obviously couldn't capture the horrifying tension underneath. By July, Keith was conveniently back on the road for his world tour, while Nicole was equally busy in London filming Practical Magic 2. They were separated by continents. Yes, but let's be honest, they were separated by much more than a little geography. Dedicated fans who were actually paying attention noticed something deeply wrong in Keith's July radio chat with Jonesy and Amanda, a segment that naturally is now totally viral. When the hosts dared to ask about his amazing love story with Nicole and whether fate had played a role, Keith's shaky tone and his short, clipped answers spoke volumes louder than anything he actually said. Even the poor, clueless hosts could sense it. The famous warmth was chillingly gone. It was, looking back, the dead silence of a marriage already flatlining. By late summer, the couple had basically vanished from each other's public lives. Nicole's social media feed was suddenly a Keith-free zone. On August 19th, she posted family pictures that quite obviously showed Keith was nowhere to be found. Just days later, on August 29th, he signed a marital dissolution agreement, officially terminating the marriage on paper, long before the public had a clue. Nicole then signed her copy on September 6th, sealing the deal that included the cold, hard custody arrangements for their 2 teenage daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. To the rest of the world, it was still a picture of perfect love. But for them, the curtain had already been drawn. Then came Minnesota. Then came Maggie. Her very name now carries a weight that makes the whole disaster so much worse. Because Maggie Bohr, note the correct spelling, wasn't just some random aspiring artist. She was by all accounts wildly talented, a true prodigy who built her career through raw charisma and hard graft. She had 0 known scandals, and until that fateful night, she was 0% involved in any drama. But when Keith stared right at her and swapped that sacred lyric, she was instantly dramatically shoved into a pathetic narrative she never wrote herself. Meanwhile, Nicole Kidman remained absolutely icily silent. She didn't respond publicly. She didn't post any passive-aggressive quotes about heartbreak. Instead, she did what the legendary queen does. She carried herself with quiet, regal dignity. On October 1st, literally the day after filing the papers, she was spotted hiking in Nashville with her sister Antonia. The paparazzi got their pictures, her in workout clothes, smiling faintly, hand over her heart. But her expression told the real story. She looked composed, yes, and grounded, but unmistakably changed, hiding the collapse of a 19-year marriage behind a peaceful smile. Throughout their marriage, the public only saw the curated highlight reel, the red carpet hand-holding, the whispers at the award shows, the prideful little glances. But off-camera, 2025 was apparently a dumpster fire. The couple spent more time apart than together. Nicole was stuck filming the highly anticipated Practical Magic 2 in London, while Keith's High and Alive tour was raging across North America. Sources claim they tried to fix the distance, FaceTime calls, surprise visits, but it was futile. Keith never sees Nicole, one dramatic insider confessed to the Daily Mail. They were just going through the motions. By early summer 2025, the inevitable had already shifted. Nicole was always the anchor holding that whole ship together. Through Keith's disgusting early spiral into addiction, through every rehab stint, through his pathetic recovery and his triumphant comeback, she was the unmoving rock. She once called him her rock, sure, but he called her his saving grace. But honey, even a saving grace gets tired. Friends whispered to us weekly that the A-list actress tried everything to salvage the doomed marriage, but poor Keith had already checked out. The horrifying truth dawned slowly. First, through their totally separate, miserable routines, and then the chilling realization that they were no longer performing for each other. Keith was chasing new, younger sounds and a pathetic, renewed sense of self on his tour. Nicole, the eternal perfectionist, was drowning herself in major film projects. They both foolishly thought the distance was temporary, until they discovered it wasn't distance at all. It was a full-blown disconnection. Even before the papers were signed, insiders claimed Keith was already emotionally gone. Mark this date, July 24th, 2025. When Nicole showed up for her residency application appointment in Portugal, she was utterly alone. Keith, the unreliable man-child, was supposed to join her, but surprise. He had to perform in the US that night. A minor incident? Maybe. But for Nicole, it was the nail in the coffin. She took it as the cosmic sign. One friend allegedly told people she wanted to start a new chapter. He was stuck on the old one. What followed was a painfully slow, intercontinental disintegration. In late August, Keith finally signed the soul-crushing marital dissolution agreement in Nashville. Notarized, detailed, final. This paperwork wasn't just some legal formality. It was the chilling, quiet death of their entire partnership. It formally outlined the new co-parenting arrangement for their daughters, Sunday Rose, 17, and Faith Margaret, 14, pathetically guaranteeing a loving, stable, and nurturing relationship, and banning both parents from ever talking trash about the other in front of the kids. Nicole signed the same pages a week later on September 6, 2025, officially agreeing to what was clearly the last thing on earth she wanted. By the time the infamous "Fighter" lyric went viral and exploded across the internet, the entire gruesome decision was already set in stone. The sheer cruel irony of the situation is just too much. Keith Urban spent years preaching that the fighter came from that vulnerable moment when Nicole confessed her biggest fear, being hurt again. She had, after all, already survived the spectacular collapse of her marriage to Tom Cruise, the public spectacle, and rebuilding her life in front of the entire world. For Nicole, the betrayal wasn't just about his pathetic new lyrics. It was about the timing. She knew what that song meant, to her and to their massive, trusting fan base. She knew that song was their sacred love anthem, their intimate history masquerading as a chart-topping single. So when she saw the video, and of course she saw it within minutes, It was the devastating confirmation of every terrifying fear she'd battled for months. The look on his face, the lazy charm, the way he directed that vow-breaking line right at his young guitarist. It screamed everything that words hadn't. For her, it wasn't a playful joke. It was utterly painful. The whispers about Keith's pathetic new relationship with Maggie Bohr immediately exploded. TMZ breathlessly reported that every sign pointed to another woman as the factor in the split, citing shady Nashville insiders who claimed Keith had already shacked up with someone in the business. The math is frankly disgusting. Keith, a crusty 57, versus Maggie, a fresh 25, a massive midlife crisis gap of 32 years. No actual proof or photos of the two surfaced outside of work, but who cares about facts? The narrative was already written. Fans immediately flooded social media, branding the whole disaster a pathetic midlife crisis cliché. The Reddit threads were absolutely vicious, labeling Maggie a shameless homewrecker. One truly viral post screamed, "Nicole's stepkids from Tom Cruise are older than Maggie." This is absurd. A few clueless defenders tried to claim Maggie was just an innocent musician caught in the crossfire of a broken marriage. But darling, once the internet selects its villain, innocence is totally irrelevant. Maggie Bohr, the poor girl, tried to do the right thing and stay completely silent. She kept posting her music clips and sharing fake behind-the-scenes tour footage, desperately trying to pretend that the entire world hadn't just set her name on fire. But her forced silence was actually louder than any scream. Every single caption, every story, every performance clip was instantly drowned in horrible comments. "You ruined a family." Nicole deserved so much better. "You should be ashamed." The tone was utterly savage. The online mob had successfully found and cornered its target. It didn't matter that there was zero proof of any affair, or that the tour staff claimed Keith treated her like a boring mentor, not a lover. The perception of scandal was so powerful, it completely annihilated the truth. One desperate article from the Hollywood Gossip even called the online attacks unfair and misogynistic, noting how conveniently all the blame fell onto the younger woman, not the ancient man. But let's face it, online outrage couldn't care less about nuance. To grasp why this nuclear bomb hit so hard, you have to rewind to the beginning. Nicole Kidman first encountered Keith Urban in 2005 at some Los Angeles event called Good Day LA. She claims she knew instantly he was sweet, charming, humble, nothing like the dreadful Hollywood trash she was used to. She had to ask, "You met at Good Day Australia? Is that what it was called?" He clarified, Good Day LA. Good Day LA. Yeah." If they hadn't both been there that exact day, would their pathetic paths have inevitably crossed? They married just one short year later in June 2006. It was a picture-perfect start. Until 4 months later, it almost spectacularly crashed. Keith's addiction resurfaced, and he checked into the infamous Betty Ford Center. Nicole stayed. He later gushed, "If you want to see what love in action really looks like, try that on for size." Nick bulldozed through every negative voice and heroically chose love. That dramatic story became the bedrock of their entire legacy, proof that love could withstand any horror. But every foundation, no matter how strong, eventually crumbles under the crushing weight of time and distance. In the years that followed, their lives became a grueling, intricate dance of conflicting schedules. Nicole's massive career dragged her from London to Los Angeles to Sydney. Keith's music took him everywhere else. And for a little while, the illusion somehow worked. They still made those forced appearances, celebrated ridiculous milestones, and gushed about each other in interviews. But as Nicole's acting went nuclear, landing huge dark roles like 9 Perfect Strangers, The Undoing, and Baby Girl, pathetic Keith reportedly started to feel utterly sidelined. According to one dramatic People source, Nicole was the dutiful wife, supporting his music, his recovery, and his entire pitiful career. But he barely lifted a finger for hers. Now, for the really juicy part, the financial details of the divorce are absolutely staggering. Their combined fortune is hilariously estimated at over $325 million, with assets casually scattered across Nashville, Sydney, Beverly Hills, and even Portugal. They supposedly own 11 properties, worth around $56 million, including that massive Nashville estate, which Nicole is expected to keep as the primary fortress for their daughters. Tennessee law is all about equitable distribution, meaning fairness over a 50-50 split. But since they're both mega rich and had pre-signed agreements, zero alimony will likely be paid. It's also cold, efficient, and horrifyingly businesslike. And that truly is the most heartbreaking detail. A relationship rooted in frantic passion and dramatic rescue ending with just a few notarized pages and a couple of signatures. The emotional fallout, however, is a disaster zone. This isn't Nicole's first rodeo. She survived her brutal public split from Tom Cruise, one of the world's most famous men operating under one of Hollywood's weirdest cults. But forget the present disaster for a second. Before the scandalous silence, before the final storm, before the pathetic words "irreconcilable differences" ended up in a court document, there was something else. Something truly magnificent, tender, and impossibly real. There was a genuine love story that at one time seemed powerful enough to conquer fame, time, and human weakness. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were more than just two celebrities bumping careers. They were a shimmering portrait of hope, the totally unexpected harmony between Hollywood glamour and Nashville's deeply troubled soul. Long before the headlines and the public heartbreak, they built a belief system, one that convinced the world, even if only for a short, beautiful moment, that true love could actually survive anything. Their story began quietly, totally out of the flashbulb glare. It was January 2005 at the G-Day USA Gala in Los Angeles, an event designed to celebrate successful Australians abroad. Nicole was already a global icon. She had survived her implosion with Tom Cruise, rebuilt her magnificent career with The Hours, and already had an Oscar on her shelf. She was luminous, yet impossibly private. A woman who had every material thing but was clearly searching for something real. Keith Urban was also there, standing right on the edge of superstardom. The country boy from New Zealand, raised in Australia, who had clawed his way up from pathetic gigs to international recognition. His album Be Here had just gone platinum, and the entire world was finally learning his name. But lurking behind that easy smile was a deep, quiet dread. Years of wrestling addiction, insecurity, and trying to reconcile fame with his own fragility. When they met that night, everything absolutely shifted. She later claimed she felt an immediate lightning bolt connection. He, the coward, claimed he was too shy to call her, convinced she was astronomically out of his league. For 4 torturous months, he kept her number in his phone, too intimidated to dial. When he finally did, their lives changed forever. Their first chats weren't about Hollywood or music contracts. They talked about faith, fear, and silly childhood dreams. They rode cheap motorcycles through the Tennessee countryside, lay under the silent stars, and shared moments that belonged to no one but them. For two people who had lived so long in the glare of the public eye, it was a refuge. In June 2006, they married in Sydney at a candle-lit ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. Nicole wore a Balenciaga gown and carried a small Bible. Keith cried as she walked toward him. There were no flashing cameras inside, no staged photographs, just vows whispered through tears and laughter. Their wedding photos later showed them holding hands as if letting go might break the spell. It was meant to be forever. But real love stories are never simple. Just 4 months after the wedding, the fairy tale nearly collapsed. Keith checked himself into the Betty Ford Center after a relapse into alcohol and cocaine addiction. The world gasped. The tabloids predicted disaster. Yet Nicole never left. She stood by him with the kind of fierce loyalty that can only come from understanding both pain and redemption. Friends urged her to protect herself, but she refused. "It's not about walking away when things get hard," she told one interviewer later. "It's about holding on." Keith, in turn, said she saved his life. That phrase would follow them for years, repeated in interviews, whispered on red carpets, written into songs. The woman who had every reason to leave had chosen to stay. And in that act, they transformed from lovers into partners, bonded not by perfection, but by resilience. Their second beginning was quieter, steadier. Keith completed treatment and returned home to Nashville. He began writing again. His music now saturated with vulnerability and gratitude. His 2006 album, Love, Pain, and the Whole Crazy Thing became a reflection of everything he'd endured and everything she had given him. Forgiveness, patience, belief. At the same time, Nicole found something she had been missing since childhood, a sense of normally. After years spent under the microscope of Hollywood, she embraced domestic life. The Kidman urban home became a sanctuary. No paparazzi, no entourages, just the hum of guitars, the smell of home-cooked dinners, and the rhythm of two people learning to heal together. In July 2008, their first daughter, Sunday Rose, was born in Nashville. Their second, Faith Margaret, arrived in December 2010 via surrogate. Motherhood softened Nicole in new ways, while fatherhood grounded Keith. Their daughters became the heart of their world, proof that love could not only survive, but flourish. For a time, the family lived in near anonymity, shuttling between their homes in Nashville and Sydney. Neighbors described them as ordinary. Church on Sundays, barbecues in the backyard, Keith mowing the lawn while Nicole took the girls to ballet. They had traded red carpets for front porches, flashbulbs for fireflies. It was during these years that Keith wrote some of his most intimate music. Trashy tunes like Without You and Parallel Line were just whispers of their simple private life, all about their boring, quiet triumphs and the overdone gratitude that defined their act. He constantly gushed that Nicole was his muse, his one constant. "Every song I write," he once dramatically declared, "is basically a conversation with her." For Nicole, this period was her ultimate glow-up. After the high drama of Moulin Rouge and The Hours, she could have easily rested on her glorious legacy, but she didn't. Instead, she launched into what critics lovingly called her second career peak. Her roles in Rabbit Hole, the sensational Big Little Lies, and the chilling The Undoing completely transformed her image from boring porcelain doll to absolute emotional powerhouse. She became an actress of sheer substance and terrifying silence, with performances that were raw, brave, and totally rooted in disturbing authenticity. And through it all, Keith was her glorified lapdog. He showed up at every premiere, clapped like a seal at award shows, and always stood awkwardly just behind her in every single photo op. He was forever content to be the pathetic man in the background, the one meekly holding her hand as she faced the world's unforgiving glare. When she snagged her Emmy for Big Little Lies in 2017, her acceptance speech was short but absolutely piercing. "My husband," she choked out through dramatic tears. "You are my rock, my love, my entire everything." It wasn't an act. It was genuine, tear-soaked gratitude. They weren't perfect, and that hilariously was their only real charm. They had crawled through chaos and somehow emerged alive. They had seen each other at their weakest, their absolute ugliest, their most painfully human, and still they stayed together. They built a love defined not by fiery passion, but by grim, hard endurance. When Keith finally wrote The Fighter in 2016, he claimed it came from one of their very earliest conversations, a night where Nicole admitted her paralyzing fear of being heartbroken again. "What if I fall?" she must have whispered. "Then I'll be the one who fights for you," he gallantly answered. That dramatic promise was turned into a song, and that song became their ridiculous public anthem. It wasn't just a basic chart-topping hit. It was a loud worldwide declaration. On stage, when he belted out the words, "I'll be the fighter," everyone on the planet knew exactly who he was pledging his allegiance to. Offstage, Nicole would often join him for painfully sweet, playful duets. Their laughter was unguarded, their connection completely undeniable. Those little moments, shared from their lavish living room to millions of rabid fans online, made them feel like something far more than just celebrities. They felt human, relatable, and tragically real. The public absolutely adored them because they represented something totally extinct. Love that appeared pure, unmanufactured, and unscripted. They weren't just a boring brand. They were an actual beating heartbeat. And in their simplicity, they found their greatest weakness. When asked how they managed to make it work amid the fame and the insane distance, Nicole once piously declared, "We don't text, we talk every single day, no matter where we are in the world." It was a tiny, stupid rule, but it somehow kept them tethered. She described their marriage not as effortless, but as sacred, something worth fighting for, something they both fiercely protected. For poor Keith, it was the single foundation that supposedly anchored his pathetic recovery, his music, and his entire life. I wake up next to her and genuinely think, how did I get so lucky? He whined in an interview years before the bitter end. Together, they truly seemed utterly unstoppable. By the mid-2000s, they had achieved what few in their industries ever could, a pathetic balance between private happiness and massive professional success. Nicole was stacking up awards. Keith was selling out massive arenas, but at home they were just mom and dad. Their daughters, Sunday and Faith, were growing up far away from the total chaos of Hollywood, in a home where love was allegedly a presence, not a pathetic performance. That was the hilarious paradox of their fame, their ability to cling to their privacy while living their lives so annoyingly publicly. They never needed to flaunt their intimacy, yet it always showed. Those shared, knowing glances on the red carpets, the whispered inside jokes, the way he gazed at her as if the entire room of losers disappeared. Those weren't just rehearsed moments, honey. They were glimpses into something impossibly rare. So now, when people talk about their tragic separation, they conveniently forget the glory days that came before. They forget the years they conquered not just massive fame, but their own broken selves. They completely ignore those early Nashville mornings when Keith actually played guitar while their daughters got ready for school. They ignore the Sydney nights when Nicole cooked dinner while he sang softly in the background. They ignore the fact that their story was truly about boring grace, not glamour. Before the crushing silence, there was actual laughter. Before the bitter distance, there was genuine devotion. Before the inevitable ending, there were years of them choosing each other over and over again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the pathetic, unavoidable truth of their love story. It wasn't perfect, but for almost 20 years, it was real. They built a universe where love was enough to heal, enough to endure, enough to actually redefine what survival looked like in the Hollywood jungle. Every truly massive love story leaves behind a painful echo, a resonance that lingers long after the celebrities go quiet. For Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, that tragic, beautiful echo is still humming across the airwaves, echoing in the hearts of all the poor souls who believed in what they once totally represented. Did you believe in them too? Then you need to smash that subscribe button right now for the next chapter.